everybody, and welcome to the backrooms. In this episode of Unknown, we're going to be talking about liminal spaces, which is something we touched on in a few episodes. I forgot to say our names. I'm Roman, and this...
Hi, I'm Luke.
That's Luke. We've kind of gotten lost. We don't really know where we're at, but we're going to do this episode anyway.
I know exactly where I'm at.
Well, yeah, we know we're in the backrooms, but like...
Exactly. You can't be lost if you know where you are.
We don't know where to get out. Yeah. So while we're stuck here, we figured we'd do another episode, this time in liminal spaces, and we're gonna break down what liminal spaces are, some examples of them in like popular media and stuff, because I know a lot of people in my life that have no clue what I'm talking about when I say liminal space, even though they're pretty popular online.
Yeah, like the backrooms.
Yeah.
And that one guy, Kane Pixels Kane.
Kane Pixels, we'll get into that, but he sort of spurred on the idea, the popularity of the backrooms. So to start, I want to start with this first because the liminal spaces aren't always the backrooms, but the backrooms is always a liminal space.
Right.
And I think the best example of a liminal space photo is this one right here, and it was dubbed the backrooms in a 2019 4chan post. And what makes it kind of mysterious is that like nobody really knows where it was, when it was taken. It's very elusive. It's mysterious, and I think that's what people sort of got the interest from it. You know what photo I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like a nasty yellowed like back room of like an office building or something, like where we're sitting now. And it spurred this whole like internet culture of more photos being taken like this and shared online, often called liminal spaces. And so there's like many things a liminal space can be. I don't know if you have other favorite photos or examples.
Can you mind if I describe what like liminal space is, or how I see it, and then you could like...
Yeah, I have notes on. Yeah.
Alright, well, the definition of a liminal space, a liminal, just the definition of liminal is relating to a transitional or initial stage of a process, or occupying a position at or on both sides of a boundary or threshold. So essentially, it's like a middle area between two places or stages, is how I think it's saying it.
Yeah, and that can mean like literally, like
right.
a hallway or like underneath a bridge or something like that. But it can also mean like a transitional time in your life or history.
Or
like,
something more esoteric.
Yeah, so like a preschool or like a high school hallway with lockers lining the side, or a retro kind of out of date abandoned mall, like something that shows that time has passed.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Liminal spaces are simply just areas that have this unique and unsettling feel. It's like a specific feeling you get whenever you look at it.
Yeah, and I have like a list of like common settings in liminal space photos right here. It's like offices, playgrounds, hallways, neighborhoods, corners of rooms, factories, schools, malls, abandoned places, under bridges, retro architecture, and so many other things.
Like, imagine you're in an abandoned Blockbusters in the middle of the night and you can't see out the windows. It's so dark. I think that's a good liminal space, isn't it?
Yeah, because aside from like the setting, there's also like important qualities to the photo that kind of make it a liminal space, because just a picture of a corner of a room doesn't always like seem like a liminal space. So, and what I mean by that is like most of them are interior spaces, or if they're exterior, you often don't see much nature. But for certain, there are no people in these photos. That is like the main aspect of liminal space photos, is that there's no people in it. It's kind of like you yourself, the viewer, are like putting yourself in that area.
I'm sorry.
No.
I just wanted to bring this up before I forgot, but like a particularly unique set of liminal spaces. Well, I think there might be.
Yeah, I know these. Yeah.
Yeah. The backgrounds of a Lego box art without like the characters in it. Like the characters have been photoshopped out.
Yeah, or like it's not even photoshopped, because I watched a video on this. It's just the artwork that would go behind pictures of the Lego set. It's like
wait.
that artwork.
So somebody did this.
Yeah. Like there are artists that they hire to do the background art, and then they Photoshop the pictures onto it of like Lego sets. And also that's another important thing. Liminal spaces don't always have to be real. They can be drawn. They can be. In fact, Minecraft is really popular for making liminal spaces.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of photos where you can see people replicating liminal space photos in Minecraft. But other elements that you see in these photos a lot are is that they're often interior spaces. There's like no people in them. That's like the main thing, is no people, or like animals or anything.
It's like being somewhere or seeing something, and you know that there's something missing, but you can't quite place what is missing.
Yeah, it's like empty places a lot of the time too, like a vast space.
Sometimes it could be like outside.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
or
say.
Fields.
Yeah, sometimes if it's outside, it has like a quality of like things are a bit too uniform.
Or unreal.
Yeah, like you know those ones where it's like a neighborhood street and all the houses are identical. Like it's a computer graphic, but it's like it's in like the grass looks like astroturf or something, or it's a little bit fake or it's a little bit off. And then it's often like a grainy photo, like really bad quality. There's like an 80s and 90s or early 2000s like feel to the photo, whether that's like the graininess or the architecture shown, and that gives it like a nostalgic quality. Like all these images are very nostalgic, specifically to like Gen Z, I would say. Yeah, but almost like a computer generated. He's showing me images like forests, but
Yeah, I particularly like liminal spaces out in forests where it's like just emptiness.
Yeah, and if it is a forest, it's often like weird colors.
Yeah,
like it's slightly off. It's never like too crazy. Yeah, and we can put some of these pictures up here so y'all can see. But you know, I'm thinking photos like these where this neighborhood is like cookie cutter houses, and each one is like a different pastel color. Or it's like drenched in fog like this, so it's just houses looking like they're floating in the void or something like that. Where it just seems kind of like otherworldly and dreamlike almost. It's like you're looking at a memory. It's hard to describe, but the more you look at the photos, the better idea you get as to what like a liminal space is. Yeah, and like we talked about, it's liminal meaning transitional, and you can take that literally or metaphorically.
Right.
Meaning like you're at a transitional spot in your life, like a preschool, a high school, a mall that's retro and rotting away, and you know, showing it a time that no longer exists. Just look up like liminal space, like just on Google, and I think that's the best way for you to understand like what they actually are, because like just describing it makes it sound like a bunch of weird photos, but I don't know, it's got a vibe to it that I like. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good understanding of what a liminal space is. But going back to the backrooms, which has probably become the most popular, like, larger piece of, like, liminal space media, it was, the photo was just by some, like, anonymous user posted onto 4chan. But Kane Pixels, or his real name Kane Parsons, created a backrooms video series, which I believe is still ongoing. Where it just got super popular in like the analog horror sphere. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what analog horror is, we talked about that in our internet horror video, so go watch that. but it's essentially just a horror-based video series online, like the Mandela Catalog, the Monument Mythos, Station 51. There's a bunch of them where the horror comes from like the graininess of the footage, the editing, and it's a really neat genre that's rising in popularity online and on the big screen, which I'll get to later. So since the backrooms has sort of exploded in popularity, there's been an expanded lore where originally the backrooms is where you just get sort of no-clip through reality. That's a video game term where you kind of glitch through the world and your camera ends up in a place where it's not supposed to be. In much of the media that is produced around the backrooms, you clip through and you end up in the backrooms, which is just an endless maze of what looks like where we're at right now. Just endless hallways of like nasty yellow, like moldy carpet and like peeling wallpaper and like
Right.
fluorescent lights with that hum. And it was just endless that, and you just had to find your way out of it. Then there started to be the introduction of monsters in there chasing after you, normally like black, like formless humanoid shapes.
I think it's better without the monsters.
Yeah. And then the lore expanded to having multiple levels where each level looked sort of different. One was more industrial, another one's like a mall, another one you end up outside. Almost like video game levels. So there's definitely like that sort of culture tied in with the backrooms. It got to the point where it's like instead of the horror of the backrooms just being like trying to get out, it became much more like in-your-face horror with like monsters coming at you, which some people don't really enjoy. I think the fear is much more intense when it's just like you are alone, you have no reason, you have no clue why you're there.
Yeah.
Like that's terrifying.
I thought you disagreed with me on that in the past.
No, you disagree with me. It was the other way around.
No.
No, I
said I'd prefer the monster.
I think we were arguing more so about like the added lore.
No. I don't. I would find it scarier without the monster if I was in that situation.
Yeah.
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 So what did we disagree on in the past?
I think you had a different opinion. I think you said you find it scary if there was a monster.
No.
Okay, well,
No.
then I changed my mind, or yeah, okay, we'll go with that.
Something happened.
Something happened. Somebody changed their
I
mind.
got replaced.
Maybe. But yeah, so I'm not going to go ahead and explain the entire lore of the backrooms, and it's something that like Kane Pixels popularized, but it's not like his, like he didn't. It's more like the internet's baby. You know, it's not like just him.
Yeah, like it originally came from a green text post.
Yeah, so that's what the original photo is from. And so because of that, everybody kind of has their different ideas, but and different headcanons about the backrooms. But if you want to know more, like totally check out that series, and I'll have it linked in the description. Well, next up, we're going to Twitter because there's this artist that I've also talked a couple times about on this show, Trevor Henderson. Trevor Henderson is most famous for creating Siren Head. But Siren Head is one of many creatures that he's made, where he will draw them or edit them into photographs that were originally like fan submitted or like found photos. So, but since he's like exploded in popularity on Twitter and like creating different creatures and stuff. He also made Long Horse. Do you know Long Horse? The bone horse. It's just a long horse skull. It just extends like into the sky. Look up Long Horse. Yeah, that guy. But he's done a few, like Cartoon Cat too. Those being his most popular.
Yeah.
And what connects us to liminal spaces is that he often like finds photos that are photos of liminal spaces to put them in. So he's definitely in that sort of vein of the internet. He hasn't really done any backrooms content, but like it's still in that same sort of niche. And then another Twitter artist that I enjoy is, please forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm in your Discord and I love your work. But Eduardo Valdez Havia, I'm so sorry. But he does like more like photo edits. And it's still in the same like vein of the internet. Where it's kind of liminal and has that like cosmic horror influence. And he does photo edits of horror stuff and has this like ongoing series about like a fractal plague, which is super cool and like visually interesting.
That sounds.
Yeah, I can
really
show you
fun.
more later. Here are some photos that I think are really cool, and you should go check out Eduardo on his Twitter, which I will. I'll link Trevor and Eduardo in the description. What is this?
Unrelated, but this is a card in Inscription, the game.
Long L. What's
Yeah.
Inscription?
It's a card game.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Cool.
You said long course.
I'm sure that's a reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any like artists or creators, other ones that you know that do liminal space stuff or backroom stuff? Backrooms got so popular. MatPat did videos on it.
You did do videos.
I think MatPat, like, he's the film theory guy and game theory guy. He like propagated like the popularity. I think it's like once it got to him, it was like kind of like crazy.
Right.
And then Wendigoon did a video, and he interviewed Kane actually.
Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you were in a liminal space? Like not one of the supernatural shit. That's like you were somewhere that was unsettling to be, but not like overtly so.
Yeah, where I just felt like I was in a liminal space.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take pictures of them all the time because sometimes I do what Trevor Henderson does. I'll paint monsters into like just pictures I take of liminal spaces I find in my day to day. And like what's also kind of scary is that like a lot of horror relies on it being nighttime, whereas with like liminal spaces, like the horror comes from like the buzz of fluorescent lighting. So it's kind of interesting that subversion, you know. And then another artist, or more specifically photographer, that I feel like does liminal space stuff is Todd Hito. He's a photographer, and I don't know if he would consider what he does like liminal space photography, but I call it that because it looks like it. Like here, you can look at some of the stuff while I talk about it. But his specialty is taking photos of houses at night.
Ooh.
And they're very foggy and hazy.
The singular light post. Now that's classic.
But yeah, it's like houses that are lit from the inside at night, and it's like foggy and there's like snow, and it just makes you think like what's going on in the house. And it shows the house, but it doesn't show any people.
Right.
So it's got like all the mainstays of like liminal spaces, but I think this guy's like an old man, so I think he's more old school. I don't know if he knows what the word liminal means, but yeah, I did a whole presentation on it in my photography class, and I love his work. Okay, so the next piece of media I want to talk about is actually a musical work. So you may think, how does that relate to liminal spaces? But there's really popular YouTube videos where it's just like oddly familiar places with strange or unnerving music or creepy music. And I always find them like oddly relaxing. I don't know. I guess it's just that like nostalgic quality to them. But oftentimes the musical work that accompanies it is horror music from video games and movies and stuff, but a very famous 6-hour-long musical work by The Caretaker called Everywhere at the End of Time. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to sort of represent the decay of the mind during dementia, like suffering from dementia. And there's no way I can describe how it makes you feel, but all I can say is like watch all the way through, like, or listen all the way through, I should say. Look it up. It's called Everywhere at the End of Time. Put that on the background while in another tab you're looking at liminal spaces. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I've done that many times. And then, like I was saying, they have like YouTube videos where they compile those two things for you anyway. So it's really fun.
Well, you like those videos where it's like places that feel familiar with background music. I like the videos where it's cursed images with background music.
Yeah, sometimes they have curse images, and those are the ones with like Trevor Henderson's monsters.
Real quick, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie they're filming here in Louisiana.
At Oakwood, yeah.
Yeah. I suppose, would you consider that like Office in the first game Liminal?
I think it's a bit too much stuff going on, but yeah, it's in the same vein. But yeah, and then also we've talked about this channel a few times, the Cryo Chamber.
I love that music.
That music is a good. It's more so like ambience than it is music, but it's a good accompaniment to liminal spaces. And like often this music is really echoey and grainy.
Yeah.
So that like makes it relate to the photo more, because the photos are like that too. Again, it's like showing the passage of time. Time has gone by, and like you can see that in the decay of the photo, and then also the decay of the audio. These things are starting to show up on the big screen. Most recently, the movie Skinamarink, directed by Kyle Edward Ball, came out, and it's received very divisive reviews because it's artsy fartsy, it's creative, so it's not for everybody. It's like an hour and a half of staring at the crown molding on the wall. But
So that's not good.
no, it's the vibe piece, just like liminal spaces, where these kids are trapped in a house, and there's some sort of malevolent entity that.
I do not vibe with staring at the crown molding on a house.
Well, the sound design is phenomenal. The creepy noises, the dialogue, it's so iconic. Like there's no other movie out there that looks like it. But if you want a taste of Skinamarink, which is basically liminal space, the movie, and you don't want to commit to an hour and a half long thing that you may not like, the movie director has a YouTube channel called Bite Size Nightmares, where he actually takes commenters' nightmares and makes them into stories. And that's what Skinamarink looks like.
And this is a website, like anybody can enter their dreams?
I don't know if he still does it because he's a big name director now, but
Fuck.
he actually liked my fan art on Twitter and commented,
Really?
which made my day. Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You
Yeah.
told me that.
Yeah. Here's my fan art. And then also this is like just the beginning of like, I think, liminal space, analog horror, backrooms. I think this is just the beginning of this movement, because A24, do you know that production company?
No.
They did Midsummer. You know,
Never heard
the
of
girl with the flower crown. She's
Oh.
like pouting.
No.
You know, the girl with the flower crown. It's like the Midsummer Festival. She's like in.
Well, I know.
You've seen it. Let me look up the poster.
Yeah.
They produced Midsummer.
My memory is shot, Roman. You can't
This.
expect me to remember this stuff. Oh,
This movie.
never saw it. But I saw that picture before. I don't know what the movie.
It's very spooky and like surreal. Like there's just a face and like the leaves here, and it's great. I recommend it. It's got Florence Pugh in it. We love Florence Pugh.
Who's Florence Pugh?
Her.
Who?
She was Black Widow's sister.
I never saw
Never
the
mind.
Black Widow.
Never mind.
movie.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay. A24 produced that movie, and they produced Hereditary. Did you see that?
No. Is that the
Let me look
one
it
of
up.
the grandmother putting a child in the oven? Like, can you clean my oven,
No,
please?
that's The Visit. No, the Hereditary is when the little kid's head gets decapitated by the telephone pole.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What kind of snuff films are you watching?
It's like won like Oscars, I think. Okay, let's look. Oh, The Lighthouse. with the Twilight guy. And,
Never saw it.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Never saw it.
But you know what that is, though.
Kinda. Asian lady, multiple lives.
Yeah, multiverse movie.
I'm looking at these midsummer pictures. Is it like a cult?
It's a Swedish celebration. It celebrates the middle of summer, and there's probably some other religious connotation to it that I didn't study and don't know. But think like flowers and maypoles and stuff like that. And the Swedish government, I think, reached out to this production company, and they were like, "Here, come make a horror movie about this festival that we have to increase tourism."
Dang.
Yeah. So no, it's like a gross, like trippy body horror movie.
I don't like body horror.
Well, then don't watch it. But if you like that, then yeah. Anyway, what I was saying was that A24 has picked up Kane Pixel's Backrooms series, and they're making a Backrooms movie.
What?
A theatrical Backrooms movie, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But like Kane Pixel's series on YouTube is already phenomenal.
We're having a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, now a Backrooms movie.
Yeah.
What's next?
Monument Mythos? Which, if I have to see that angel and cue the angel.
The statue peeking.
If I have to see the Freedom Angel statue, I'm
honestly though,
I don't think I can make it through that scene in the theater.
I think if they made the Monument Mythos a movie, it would do incredibly well.
I think the Mandela catalog is really popping off though, so I see that happening first. And if you don't know what we mean by all these things, Mandela catalog, Monument Mythos, Channel 51, whatever, it's all analog horror series, which I can also link in the description. And it's less so specifically Liminal, but it's in that same like vibe as Backroom series and stuff like that. And patron saint of this channel, Wendigoon, has done many videos on all of these things. Yeah, no, I'm excited because it's like this is like a new genre of horror that's like coming to the big screen now.
Well, I'm excited. I mean, I've only watched like 4 horror movies.
Oh, like ever?
Yeah. The Conjuring, the other Conjuring movie I saw with you, the Wendigo movie, Antlers,
You just know. I
and
wanted
The
to see that one.
Shining.
I never saw Antlers yet.
Oh, it's actually pretty good.
I saw Multiverse of Madness. That was MCU's attempt at a horror movie, but all we got was Black Bolt's head melting off. Spoilers, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's Marvel. We can't.
Wanda was covered in blood. I mean, oil.
That's not a horror movie.
I know. I wish it was. That's what I was promised, Kevin Feige. They got Sam Raimi to direct that movie.
It's a superhero movie.
And well, more importantly, it's a Disney movie.
Would you say Dollar Generals are liminal spaces?
There's got to be like nobody there except the cashier. But yeah, that's like the major topics we want to talk about. But now we're just looking at some pictures here to jog our memory and see what other things we see in liminal space photos. Things that kind of
A water park.
yeah, water parks, especially water parks with like indoor water parks with lights turned off. That's a liminal space.
Now, I lived in the middle of nowhere, in the woods. There's some creepy shit out there late at night.
And then also like the original like Super Mario. I see this picture floating around all the time.
Well,
Is that Super Mario? I don't know.
hold on, let me pull it up. Look.
Also, people are using AI to generate liminal space photos.
I'm sorry.
It's so easy to not do that. Okay.
This Mario one, it looks like somebody just took the map from the Mario 64 game and made it into a Gary's mod map. Because
Oh really?
yeah,
I can't tell.
because I played the game when I played Mario 64 when I was younger. I've also played Gary's mod.
Yeah, but like what makes it different?
I've never seen this place in the game, and
Oh, okay.
also it's kind of it's first person. Mario 64 didn't have first person, I don't think. Well, not unless you like adjusted the camera for it, but
Oh, also, like the nostalgia quality comes through when it's like
well, that's AI art.
Is it? No, it isn't. That's too perfect. Like this line here. That's just a glow in the dark like golf course, or like an arcade. Got like little putt-putt courses and arcades. That's definitely like great examples. Like the movie The Shining. I know you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that movie is full of liminal spaces because it's a hotel with nobody in it.
And nobody in it.
That's the important part. It's like what you need to stress most about liminal spaces is that it's a place where people should be and aren't, not just where people aren't. And then yeah, just like typing liminal space into Google, you immediately see a lot that are just Minecraft, because it's easy to make. It's easy to make in Minecraft. The simplistic nature of the architecture a lot of the time makes it easy for anybody to just sort of like 3D model it, make it in Minecraft.
The Truman Show.
The ending of the Truman Show, with the stairwell up to the thing, it's like the sky, yeah. It's also this one that I see all the time. This is real, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's a hotel. And
yeah.
It's indoors, but they have like this outside area that's still indoors, so.
Yeah, people have like made 3D models of it, like thinking it was a 3D model to begin with.
No.
That is a real hotel that just looks real funky like that for whatever reason. Art museums sometimes, with like those harsh geometric shapes.
What's that picture with, it's not like a photo of a place, it's like very, very clearly a drawing, but like there's stairs everywhere, like upside down, going on.
Oh, like the MC Escher stairs? Yeah, that's kind of one too. And then also, I feel like this, like, it's like related to the vaporwave stuff. I feel like it was like, this came after the vaporwave stuff. Vaporwave being like, the neon blues and purples and pinks and like the Greek busts and palm trees and stuff like that, like old malls and stuff. Yeah. Omega Mart?
Yeah. I believe in a previous episode, I accidentally said Omega Wolf instead of Omega Mart.
How do you get those two things confused?
Because they're part of this other thing called Meow Wolf, which is also a bunch of trippy shit.
Also, like some like Japanese subway got flooded at some point.
Really?
Yeah, and people took a bunch of photos in there, and that became some well-known liminal space photos.
Have you ever seen the videos of like the trains in Tokyo, how full they get?
Yeah. I guess it's another one, like top-down views of like roads overlapping each other in like really populous cities, but there's no cars on them.
Right.
Like when there's like 5 lanes overlapping each other, but there's like no cars there. Bowling alleys, because who goes to those anymore? Roller skating rinks.
I went to a bowling alley recently.
Where even is a bowling alley around here?
I was in Florida.
There we go. Yeah, and like hotel pools at night, hotel hallways. Is Katrina?
Yeah, Hurricane Katrina.
Luke is showing me photos of like flooded New Orleans after Katrina. We were a bit too young to fully remember that happening, but
I was 3.
yeah, the effects are still felt here in Louisiana.
It's really unsettling whenever it's like places you've been.
Wow, the Superdome really got that messed up?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I've been in the Superdome before, and like, so if I was like right there outside of it, I'd be dead.
I mean, it's so tragic.
Chernobyl.
Honestly, yeah, because I said that when I was listing out like places that are commonly liminal spaces. I was like factories and stuff like that. It's like a nuclear power plant, especially one that's been abandoned for like how long? A century?
Oh, well, that's not a good picture there. There we go, like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, abandoned amusement parks are probably pretty creepy. Like Six Flags in New Orleans.
Yeah. Again, it's like that childlike quality, nostalgic quality, shows that time has gone by, overgrown stuff, meant for people, meant for kids. Yeah. Okay, so there's like one more artist that I wanted to talk about that is seemingly heavily influenced by liminal spaces, is Simon Stalenhag. And of all people, Jacksepticeye introduced me to him and his artwork. But his main thing is like huge, giant, futuristic robots or buildings.
I
like,
remember this guy.
yeah, I've talked about him previously. Like in like the Swedish wilderness, it's like the contrast between nature and technology. And he has all like stories and lore built out, but I don't want to go and try to explain all that to you because it's just so much. There's so much rich lore. But I do have his art book here. This is one of 3, I think. This is Labyrinth. He also has like Tales from the Loop and the Electric State. And I think the Electric State, it's in like Nevada, so it's a different setting because like in Sweden it's more wintry, Nevada it's like a desert, but it's still like that contrast between the natural world and like these huge technological things. I think what kind of removes this from being liminal space is that there's often like characters and like kids in his photos, but if you were to disregard them or find artwork that he's made without people in it, it's just it's amazing, and it's just a wonderful example of like sort of the influence in liminal spaces have on certain artists. And I'm gonna try and find a good picture here. So yeah, and in all those art books and stories, he kind of presents like an alternate history, due to like time being weird. And actually, there's like a tabletop game, like a role-playing game based off of like, I think this one actually.
The Labyrinth?
Yeah, or maybe it may be Tales from the Loop actually. I think it's like like a tabletop role-playing game. And it's kind of like Stranger Things-esque because of just like the scary horror, like 80s stuff. Yeah, I don't know how well you're going to see this with like the lighting or if there's a glare, but like, you know, just this building sitting in like a weird green desert. I could put more on the screen if that didn't come across well to you, but I'm a big fan of his artwork. I just wanted to throw it in at the end here since it's not the best example of liminal spaces, but we do love it. That's about all I wanted to say. Anything else you want to wrap up with?
How about wheat fields?
Yeah. I've seen photos like that where it's like somebody shining a spotlight into like a sunflower field or a field of wheat. And
Like
sometimes there's a figure standing in the center. So it's like pitch black.
Especially creepy at night.
Yeah.
Just endless fields with like, there should be nothing out there, but if you see something, it's gonna.
See a silhouette or like 2 eyes, but I don't know. What scares me about liminal spaces is like the fear of the unknown. It's like what's around the corner, what's through that doorway. So
Definitely.
seeing something is almost less scary. Like how we were talking about the backrooms earlier.
I don't know. I mean, like, sometimes there's nothing scarier than real life. And seeing somebody standing in an open field on your private property at night, I'd find that a lot scarier than, nobody standing there.
Yeah. Especially when it's like slightly off. Like their silhouette doesn't make sense, or that's like, that makes me shiver.
Oh, that has a funny prank for me. Funny prank idea for me.
That's okay, we're wrapping up the episode with your prank.
Okay, so get a bunch of human-shaped scarecrows and then go out way into the country at night and then just stick them in their front lawn. I think that would be pretty funny.
There's so many people in rural America you could scare the hell out of by doing that. But, yeah. Alright, everybody.
But there's also those, you remember the clowns? Whatever, like,
That's just clowns running around.
well,
Maybe they were hid in liminal spaces.
I remember it was, this isn't liminal spaces either, But I don't remember where it is, but this guy wearing like this old CCTV monitor on his head would just like bring old TVs to people's front door and just leave in the middle of the night.
Were they on?
No, unfortunately.
But yeah, those old
Okay.
TVs is what is like the vibe of these photos
I'm
and
not
videos and stuff.
sure if this fits your description of liminal spaces, but there's this webcomic Stag Town that has I can't get a good picture.
Is that the thing that's on your
Yeah,
jacket?
on my jacket that I have.
I saw the Game Theory logo up there. Did he talk about it?
Nah, I can't find shit for it.
What is it that made you connected to?
It's this like abandoned carousel in the comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, in the Last of Us show, the last episode was it was in like an abandoned mall, and there was a
Right.
carousel in the center, and it was all run down. That was very liminal, but it was just a setting for the drama in that episode. It wasn't really about football. So, I don't know.
Right. Well-
What's your question for this episode to tell our viewers?
Have you ever been to a graveyard at night or on the mountain?
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure. Yeah. Why am I always the one asking the?
I can do. Okay, fine, great. I can do it. If you found yourself in the backrooms, what's your plan? What are you doing?
That's a boring one. All right. If you could
3 questions.
Nah, I got nothing.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody.
What's your favorite flavor of vinegar? I like red wine and balsamic.
What the hell?
Both very good.